And then I remember I saw this quote one time. This was recently, but this sums up the whole story of Naija Comm. But like, if it's truly your calling, it'll keep calling you. Because
Ooh.
even
Ooh.
it's a
You like that one? You liked it. You liked
Slow down.
it.
Off the record, Malik is planning how he's going to
Don't say
off
that.
the record. Hello, welcome back from our 1 week hiatus. Welcome to another episode of Japa Diaries, where we document the experiences of African immigrants in the diaspora. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. We were taking a week break just to prepare for our guest today.
As
That was the
in
whole. She required 2 weeks of prep. That's all. That's all that was,
preparation.
guys. That's all that was.
Exactly. Not too much. No technical issues. No.
No, no,
Um,
we don't have those.
Not over here. Duh. Okay, so today our guest is a child of immigrants, right? We like to keep it interesting. Um, how guys, okay, let me just start by saying this. I would like to introduce her. When we were setting this up, the person who set this up on her end sent me a bio. A bio. Just so you know the type
Read
of
it.
guest.
Read
No. I have to read it. I have to read it.
it.
So that you know the level of the guests that we have in our presence today.
Come on now.
As soon as I find the email. Okay. Oh, all right, here we are. All right, prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give you the abridged version.
Let
So
me do the.
imagine that.
Let me set you up a drum roll.
All right. Eno, also known as E, is a Nigerian and Houston native, founder of Naija Comm, MBA player at Prairie View A&M University, a passionate writer, entrepreneur, community advocate, and an award-winning multidisciplinary creative who is passionate about amplifying the voices and stories of people in the community, especially the overlooked ones. I'll
Come on.
skip everything else, but I'll give you the first paragraph after that. From being named Forbes 30 under 30 in the
Ooh.
media company to writing published articles at notable companies, he has been featured on Forbes, Business Insider, Ad Age, Afrotech, Bella Niger, and more for her work and advocacy. She has been a guest speaker on various platforms, notably the NBA and VidCon. Guys,
Upo.
guys,
Upo. And
guys,
that's the
that's the
shortened
abridged
version.
version.
I'm finished.
That's the
I'm
abridged
finished.
version.
I'm not ready for anything that's happening today. Now I'm not even ready.
Ladies
Finish
and
me.
gentlemen, please welcome Enna. Enna, welcome to
wow.
the podcast.
Thank you
I
for
know.
having me. Wow, that the way you read that was so beautiful and seamless. It sounded
Thank
like I
you.
was in a movie. It was
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I'm so
All
excited.
protocols duly what they call it, duly
Uh,
noted and be duly observed.
I don't know. Just
Hmm.
go to any O1 bed. They'll tell
They
you.
will tell you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
How
So
Yeah.
a
does it
lot.
feel to like have all that like lead up to who you are?
It's honestly such a blessing. Yeah, it's just a blessing to do all these different things and to be in the presence of community, and I get to serve my community is everything for me. So,
That's pretty dope. That is
So
pretty
yeah.
dope.
for me now, like as she was just rolling off all the accolades, my ears were perking up. But specifically at NBA player, you tell me more about that.
Yes. So me and my team, we joke about this. So I'm an MBA candidate at Prairie View A&M University. Those are just fancy words of saying grad student. So I'm studying business
Yeah.
administration. So
Yeah,
MBA
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
Because I read it first. I was like, you sure say yes, but yes.
So I think we can get straight into Anna's story here. Before
Mm-hmm.
she became the multifaceted talent that she is today, there
Mm-hmm.
were two Nigerian parents that got busy. Can you tell us about your
Oh my
parents?
God.
I love that.
Keeping it
I
classy,
love
keeping it classy.
Yeah. Thank you.
very, very, very. I love that. Yes, I am a proud daughter of two Nigerian immigrants. Like they are my everything. They are the reason why I am as ambitious as I am today, disciplined as I am today. They're both from
Mm,
Akwa, so they came
mhm.
to America before knowing each other. So my mother, she was studying nursing in Nigeria and everything, and she came to America because her sister was in New York. So she stayed with her to like get her, citizenship and everything. And then my dad, he came in his like early 20s, like in his youth, he got a scholarship to attend university. So he came
Nice.
first. My mom came in like her mid 30s, and then they eventually met in America in the States. So that's their story.
Okay,
Do
and
you
they
know
were
the
like
story of how
both.
they met?
Okay,
Oh, wait, who first?
how they met.
Yeah, how they met. Oh, okay. So her sister, my mom's sister, like she met my dad through a friend. So they were all just like friends and everything. And she was trying to like hook him up with my my mom. And like
Hmm.
she was showing him like a picture of her and the family, and he was just like, oh, she's so beautiful. Like that's going to be my wife.
Mm.
But he was just,
Hmm.
he was just saying, just
I
talking.
was
This Lamba, we've heard it
Nigerian
before.
men, and that's my wife. I don't understand.
This Lamba, we've heard it before.
Every time that's my wife.
Yes.
God told every time.
Every
But he married
time.
her, so I
I
guess,
mean,
I
I
guess,
mean, I mean,
I
he's still
guess
on
it was
business.
It
real.
Still on
happens.
business.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it ended up happening. It was like years later, they were friends, and then they got together, and then yeah, that was their story. And then they
So
had
they,
me.
so they jabbed separately and just met up
Yes,
in Houston, in Texas,
yes, they met up in Houston.
and they were both
Mhm.
like working professionals.
Yes. So my mother, she was doing nursing. My dad, he was formerly like a taxi driver. Then he became an entrepreneur. So
Gotcha.
now he does like a chauffeur business. Like you hire a driver to take you to the airport or take you to, this place or this place, right? So he converted that into like a very like, how do I say it? Like into a fancy type of business and everything, but it's still
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
transportation. And
Mhm.
that's something that I told him the other day, I'm so proud of him because
Mhm.
because something I asked him like, what made you create your own business? Why did you decide you don't want to be a taxi driver no more? Like, there's an obvious answer, but I wanted to hear it from him. And he said, I didn't come to America just to be a taxi driver. And that stuck with me in so many ways of life because it just shows you like, I didn't come this far just to settle. I came this far just to be more. And that's something you can
Yeah.
take in every aspect of life. So yeah, they taught me a
Mhm.
lot.
I was gonna say that's a come up, one thousand
Yeah,
Yeah.
percent. Yeah,
1000%.
yeah.
the
1000%.
American dream. I so much love that.
And one thing about
Oh,
being raised by Nigerian parents is that they'll push you to even be
Yes.
like more successful than they are, and they'll do it like
oh
militantly. Like
yeah,
Militant. Yeah.
oh yeah,
you
oh
Very,
don't have
yeah.
very.
choice, you don't have options. You must make
Mm-mm.
it.
There's no
Mhm.
failure. There's no failure. You must succeed. Yes.
What is a B? Stop that. You stop. You cut it out right now.
Oh,
So
okay. I have a question. I guess semi based on this. So, your parents had these like aspirations for themselves coming here. You, as yourself, did you have like your own sort of personal aspirations for yourself, and how much were they, I guess, influenced by any expectations your parents might have put on you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I've always been interested in the creative arts ever since I was younger. And I kind of knew I was going to do something that was like non-traditional. I just didn't know what it was yet. But for me, I've
Mm-hmm.
always been like, I started my childhood off like drawing and everything. And it's funny, I told my mom this like literally like probably like 2 years ago. Like I told her that like, because she wanted me to be in healthcare. And then,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you see, sorry, this
mhm.
is
You
something that
see, I
popped up.
told you it's doing it. Yeah, yeah.
So like my mom wanted me to be in healthcare, my dad wanted me to be in pharmacy, and it wasn't like they were forceful about it. They were more so just like, these are the things that we desire, we like these things, they just introducing me to those things. But my mom, like, she also like knew how to sew clothes. So she would
Mm.
sew clothes for herself and for me, and like my siblings and my dad and everything. But she did it as a hobby. It wasn't like a job or anything like that. But like before she
Mm-hmm.
would sew anything, she would draw it out. And the way she would draw was like, you would think she worked at Vogue or something. It was very
Mm-hmm.
detailed. And as a kid, that always fascinated me. And so that's how I got into drawing. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I've always been interested in visual arts, right? And then I got introduced to graphic design. and I created my dad's logo for his business,
Come
which was
on.
very like very full story, because I created Naija Comm's logo, and then I started creating for different brands and everything later on. So it was very full circle. But for me,
Mhm.
I've always been interested in like graphic design, writing, media, and then that's how like it all like developed later on. But like if you were to tell me like as a young girl that you would be doing all these different things, I wouldn't have believed it would
Yeah.
have went this far. But yeah.
Yeah. Because I think also even at that age, you don't even have like the tool set. Like you like
Yes.
the idea of careers, like growing up, like if they asked you what you wanted to be, like what would you
Mhm.
have said?
Yeah, when I was younger, I said the very first thing I wanted to do, I said artist. But then I
Mm-hmm.
became more realistic. I told my parents that when I was younger, and they laughed because they're like, "Oh, she's
Mm-hmm.
just, she's just a kid.
Yeah.
She's just a
So
child."
funny.
Right, right. Literally. And then eventually I wanted to be a graphic designer. Um,
Mm.
them and like other parts of my family and other people in the community, they didn't really know what that was in a way. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I was in college, I discovered public relations. I switched my major like 4 to 5 times, which is not
Mm-hmm.
all parents are, they get a little scared when you do that.
I was gonna say that you got to
Yeah,
level before is crazy.
yeah, that was
You get 2 marks.
crazy.
And
Yes.
even that second one, they will look at you like,
Exactly. I pushed it. I pushed the limit. And then so they were concerned, but they had faith in me because the type of child I was very ambitious. So everything that I wanted to do, I ended up doing it. They never
mm-hmm.
understood it, but like they'll be like, okay, she completed it. So whatever she wants to do, she's going to complete it. We might not understand every part of it, but she was going to do everything she said she was going to do.
It's gonna
And
get there.
yeah, so right. So public
I
relations is what I landed on. But yeah.
I love I so much love this support. I have a very vivid memory, Malik. I'd
Yeah,
like
I'm
to
sure
share.
you do. Okay.
So I too, like I was a creatively inclined kid. To the point that honestly, my parents actually encouraged it. They would buy me like paint sets and that kind of thing. Like I was always that person singing, dancing, all the things. When I was younger, I said I want to be a teacher. Then after teacher, I decided I wanted to be a doctor because I told myself I liked helping children, not to be a pediatrician. Till this day, I've never actually worked with children. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, Deadass. When I was in maybe secondary school, I would do a lot of like singing competitions, dancing competitions in school. And like, guy, I used to win. I used to collect award. I used to go for competition, that kind of thing. And one day, my dad
Brother
was
Idol.
picking me up. What's not? One day, your dad was picking me up from school, and you know how we used to do that final assembly. And they would give like all the awards that day. So they gave me award, and I was entering the car, and your dad said, I hope this thing you're not taking it too seriously. As in,
It
no, no,
just
no. You're having fun. Abi, this is just fun. Like this is not the career path that you're planning for yourself.
because it's not Beyonce we're
Yes.
doing here.
It's not Beyonce we're doing here, okay? Is doctor. That's what you've been
Doctor.
Yeah,
saying,
lawyer.
right?
You told me pediatrician. You said
Uh-huh.
that to me.
Exactly. And we stick to the script. So
Mhm.
like now for me, obviously, well, not obviously, I actually didn't want to be a singer, but that was like a defining moment for me of like, if I did want to do something creative, I didn't know that it would be well received. So for
Mm.
me to hear about your parents, like even still being skeptical, but kind of being like, okay, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Because I'm also similarly like, I'm very like, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it, and it's gonna get
Yeah.
done, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
done well, right? But
Yeah.
like to hear that, like there was that level of trust. I guess maybe also the environment, like being in America,
I was about to say
does
they,
something different to parents.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they've
Hmm.
seen people, have maybe alternate careers. The window or net for whatever you can be is so broad.
Hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
in Nigeria, like again, like I think initially, like her parents wanted her to go into like farmer or the medical
Pharmacy.
field. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents will usually just push you to what they know because they don't want you
Yeah.
to take risks elsewhere. That's just them
Mm-hmm.
being a parent.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So your
Yes.
parent knows doctor, engineer, pediatrician. That one makes sense.
Yes.
Either any way you cut it up, it'll check out. So,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they're just not so willing to take a risk.
Absolutely. And then also faith too, like the prayers. Like they were my family couldn't pray. Like they just
You
had so
spray with
much
holy
faith.
oil.
Right? They had so much faith. They're just holding on to faith because you really don't know what your child will be until they be it. So it was just more
Mm-hmm.
so like faith and everything. And so for me, like I remember I told I told them I wanted to do public relations, and like they didn't know what that was. But to be fair, a lot of people in America don't even know what that is too. Like they just group
Yeah.
it with marketing and then they just call it a day, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So when I told them I wanted to do
The
public
Holy Trinity.
relations, as yeah, exact the Holy Trinity, as I wanted to do public relations as a career, they were just like, okay, what's the salary looking like in that
Yeah.
industry? They're like, oh, okay, if you have faith in it, go ahead and go for it. So I did that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
So, what was, because okay, I also have done my research. I read
yes,
an interview that you did about how you felt like everyone around you was just like going into nursing school or like
yes.
doing that kind of thing. Like, did you ever go down that kind of path yourself? Like, how far down did you go before you were like, okay, actually, I think I'm gonna do my own thing?
Yeah. Did you
Yeah. So
question it?
that those are good questions. So for me, I'll start backwards. So did I question going through that path? I had those moments because a lot of my friends growing up in Houston, like it's like a mini Nigeria in a way. So you have that cultural
Mm-hmm.
representation, like regardless
You
of what
know.
everyone's doing exactly. Like they're everywhere. You can't escape them. Like they're everywhere.
Mm. We actually have a
Um
mother and father there too, so
At
yeah,
this moment, yeah, yeah,
literally.
yeah.
And so my friends, a lot of my friends are pursuing traditional paths, so I didn't have that representation of like, people who like come from my community and they're pursuing something that's like not either STEM related or just something traditional that that's like normal, quote unquote. So I didn't see that representation around me. I've heard of like so and so doing something, but I never really seen it. I didn't really grow up with
Mm-hmm.
that. That wasn't really the common thing as it is now. And
Yeah.
so I question my past from time to time, but also the type of person I am. Like, and my parents can speak on this. I can be a very stubborn child. Like, when I want to do something, this is what I want to do. And like, you can't discourage me until like I do the thing. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I knew I wouldn't be happy if I pursued something that did not align with my passion. I just knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really grateful for that. Because there you do hear stories where like I know I have friends that have parents who are like you must go to medical school or else I'm not paying
Mm-hmm.
for your studies. So
Yeah.
like that is a thing, and I've seen it, but I'm just fortunate enough that I didn't go through that path. Like yes, I have parents that were skeptical, but it wasn't like by force you must be a
Yeah. It
doctor
wasn't to
or
that end. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So, what were those four majors before you landed on PR?
Yeah.
Because I'm just curious. Like,
Yes.
so
So
freshman year, what did we start out
Abby,
as?
yeah.
so we'll start from the beginning. So freshman year it was graphic design. It was
Okay.
graphic design, and then I switched to marketing for like one semester. And here's the reason why I did it for a semester, because I didn't know you had to take statistics and stuff. So I was like, oh no, no,
Excuse
no,
me.
no.
Actually, that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah. Yeah. You
I
do
was
have to
like,
do
once
that.
I realized that, I'm like, okay, I have to switch quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went from that, and then I did what was it? It was like communications. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm. That's the Trinity:
yeah,
communications,
exactly.
marketing, PR.
I was like, I did
Yeah.
communications, and I was like, no, I'm not feeling this one either. And then that's when I landed on PR, and it was interesting because I was praying to God during that time because I was really frustrated. I'm like, I know what I want to do, I just don't know what it was
What
called.
year is this?
This
Like,
was
what?
like this was like between junior year to senior year. So I'm
Okay.
literally about to like we're towards the end of like
Yeah.
undergrad. And finally I landed on I majored in PR, but I minored in marketing. That's the funny part. So like I realized when you minor in marketing, you don't have to take as many like, statistics and all
Stats.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as like in depth. But it's just a little bit. So like but all my credits that I took as a marketing major, I still took accounting and stuff like that. So that still counted. So that was beneficial in the end. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty dope. I thought you'd
Yeah.
have started out. I like that your stories. At least you started out like, I want to be creative. I just don't know what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Me,
Mhm.
I started, and you know what is so crazy? I don't like when I think about it too. I think it was the same thing. There wasn't representation for it,
Yes.
and even when I would think about like, I was always drawn to like Actually, let me just start from the beginning. So I started out thinking I wanted to be a doctor. I got into grad to undergrad, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be pre med, going to do the
Yeah.
whole pre med thing. I went to one school that was very serious about like You take one biology class. That biology class was a weed out class. Like everything was just straight. I'm like, yeah, weeding me, oh, like I think I'm on my way out. Like, what's going on? Like it would just be hard for no reason, right? Um, and but like when it comes to like work, like people in my class will be trying to do like research lab things or like, cancer research. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
this does not sound fun. I have no interest in any of this. Like, but like if there's a marketing job on campus, like that's the type of thing I will go for, like event planning or like just something more creative, right? Um, and so and I would always be drawn to those type of things. Like I remember I've interned at so many radio stations. It's kind of crazy. And they'll ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'm a neuroscience major, and they're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I was always, sort of pulled in both directions in a way. And then also, in addition to like what the parental expectations were, I was also just trying to like, I guess, fulfill a thing. And for some reason, I'd also convinced myself that like, oh yeah, marketing and those kind of jobs are like cool, but like they were not for me. Like they were just, I only wanted them because I thought they were cool, as
Yeah.
compared to like that was actually what I was being drawn to. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
So like I had a real internal conflict about it too. Like so I ended up studying public health, which I actually do love. Like I really same like thing. I'm very service driven. I really likes that. I'm also like I have like a STEM brain in a way. Like I'm very analytical, but I'm also very creative. Um and then I went to grad school, got my MPH in epidemiology. Also dumb because the classes I would like my extracurriculars were never like epi related. Like it was always social media campaigns for like the research, like doing all the graphic kind of things. So like I was always going in that direction. Um and then I got my first job after graduation. I was working at a government health department. And I
Oh
remember
wow.
telling somebody about that job and they were like, really? Like I don't know. I just didn't see that for you. You know,
Oh
like
wow.
somebody had like called me out on it in a way of like, this
It's not really
doesn't,
aligning with what you
this
said you
not
want to
aligning.
do.
Yeah, it's not aligning with like who I know you as.
Wow.
And I was in that job for like 5 months. I was miserable. Like, I like a month in. I remember going somewhere and just being like, oh my god, I hate my job. Like,
Oh.
yeah, I was there. And unlike you who like had like an early thing of like, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do this thing. I had like after doing all these passion projects on the side and like chasing all these interests and things.
You have to be honest with yourself and say,
Yeah.
"This is the key, bro. This is it. This
Yes.
is it. Why are you running?
Why
Why are
do
you
you
running?
understand? Why
Why
are
are
you
you
running?
running? Why are you
Why are
running?
you running?
Right now, you
Like,
don't know what we're doing."
yes.
I love that. But it was meant to
Yeah.
be in a sense because, like, I
Yeah.
truly believe when something's meant for you, like, no one could ever take that away from you. It's going to
Yeah.
align at some point. So it's good
Yeah.
that you learned that experience, but at least you tried because what if you didn't go to that job and experience that you never would have
I
known how you
wouldn't have
felt about
actually,
that?
yeah. And I think also, yes, one, I wouldn't have known that this wasn't where I needed to go. And two, I think I wouldn't have had the balls to then go ahead and chase this thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because now I can chase this passion and say, I've done this other thing and it's not working for me. So now
Yes.
I have no other choice but to actually go after what
Succeed
I
here.
want.
Exactly.
Now I
Exactly.
actually have to do it.
Yes.
And also like just do it now. If it fails, let it fail early. Not that you will not be doing this thing the whole of your life and you'll be wondering like, wow,
Yeah.
what if? And I'm like, I can't do that.
Yes,
So
exactly. Exactly. That's
Okay.
true. That's very
Okay.
true. Wow.
I have a question for you, Eno,
Yeah.
because you both said that like you kind of always known what you wanted to do, you just couldn't really define it.
Yeah.
So now, can you actually define exactly what it
Yeah.
is that you do,
Absolutely.
and and how did you work up the path to doing that? Because I feel like in these creative spaces, it's not like other careers where like,
Yes.
okay, you go to school for 4 years, you take this certification, you get this job, then you move to this job, then eventually you get to where
nothing
you
like
want.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like you have to like almost create your own, your own path yourself to kind of, get to where it is that you want. So I was just
Exactly.
wondering what your thoughts are
No,
on that.
that's a valid question because when it comes to creative, there's so many sides to it, right? And like for me, I've done the full-time creative, the freelance creative, like all these different things, doing creative in corporate, doing it for Naija Comm, like so it looks different all around. So for me, I switched from working in public relations to doing marketing and advertising, and then like switching over to social media. So like if I was to define public relations for people who don't know, that's maintaining a favorable image on behalf of a brand or a client. So you could
Mm-hmm.
do that for, let's say, you can do that for a Google, right? Or you
Mm-hmm.
can just do celebrity publicist type of thing. It looks very different. So for
Yeah.
me, when I got into PR, luckily enough for me, I got into TV and film early, which is not common for a lot of people, especially at a young age. It can be difficult getting into TV and film. So I
Yeah.
was doing publicity at AMC Networks. They own The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and so many
Mm-hmm.
other different shows. And then I fell into advertising, and I worked at Wyden and Kennedy. They are an independently owned ad agency, notable for creating some of your favorite campaigns. They created the Just Do It slogan for Nike. A lot of people don't know that. Nike didn't do it, literally. They created the Just Do It commercials, the Travis Scott meal, Sweetie meal for McDonald's, and so many more things. They've been around for 40 plus years. They're a global ad agency. So that was my first time learning that creative is so like multi hyphenate and it's not just singular. And
Mm-hmm.
then also like some of your favorite brands that you see on TV or that you see in Times Square during the Super Bowl, they're made by agencies. Like there's
Yeah.
agencies that work behind them, but you don't see them. You typically see the brand and the celebrities that are the face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a powerful thing. Like marketing and advertising is so powerful. Like there's this
It
quote
actually
that
is.
someone said, that they said like, like the product and the service is not always as powerful as like the founder or the person who is driving the marketing and everything. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can be good at what you do, but if you don't know how to market yourself or your brand,
Yeah,
no one
it's a
will
wrap.
ever know. Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap basically. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I would define public relations, and then how I define marketing and advertising. And then I started doing social media in corporate. So like doing community management, like tweeting and creating content for some of your favorite brands, like McDonald's All American Games, or Boss Beauty's NFT, and so much more, and Widening Kennedy's socials. And then I integrated that into Naija Comm because I realized, I'm like, if I could do that in corporate, how would that look for Naija Comm? So for Naija Comm, we
Mm-hmm.
have clients and we create content for these clients. So we worked with HBO, WhatsApp. We're currently working with Black Ambition, which is owned by Pharrell, and they provide capital and resources to Black and Hispanic entrepreneurs. So we create their content, we help them with their marketing, and so
Mm-hmm.
much more. So that's kind of my creative journey in a sense, in a way. But yeah.
If
Gotcha.
you know how
Gotcha.
many brands,
Omo,
if you know how many brands, I just the hear,
Brands
just
on
the hear.
brands.
I was just
I
like,
I love this
Bass,
for you. I love this
boost.
so
Thank
much
you.
for you.
It can come with a lot. There's pros and cons to both
Yeah.
sides, but yeah, it's a blessing though, all of it.
Yeah.
All right. So I think you also mentioned Niger Calm in there. So I
Yeah.
actually want to know, what is Niger Calm and what
Yes.
was the inspiration
Yeah.
for
Yes.
Niger Calm as well?
Yeah, that's another great question. So NijaCom today, what NijaCom is, it's a media company that amplifies Nigerians who are pursuing non-traditional paths. And our mission is to uplift the African creator economy, but overall to uplift the African diaspora that are pursuing all these overlooked career fields and ventures. And so
Love
we
that.
thank you. So we support our community through like programming, whether it's events, give back initiatives such as like donations, scholarships, partnering with other like brands to do all these community related things. So that's the community
Mm-hmm.
side. And then the business side is we create content for brands. So we are digital, but we show up in person as well. So a lot of different things.
What was
And
the
oh,
motivation? Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
forgot to answer that one. So the motivation, I created that in 2020. This was back when I was an undergrad. And similar to what I mentioned before, just not seeing that representation in person or even online. Like I remember one time when I finally switched over to PR, I'm just like, okay, I met four of the Nigerians in my class that were studying PR, and we would talk about like how, what was it like introducing this to our parents, telling our parents we wanted to do public relations,
Mm-hmm.
and just the way we were connecting and showcasing that was really inspirational for me. I'm just like, okay, there has to be a community for this, like on Instagram or something, because in our world there's a community for everything nowadays.
Yeah.
So back then I was like, where there must be a community for it. And I remember I typed in like Nigerians in PR for men and women. At that time, there was no community for it. And I'm like, okay, what about Nigerian communications? Part of that holy trinity, there has to be something for it. And I didn't see that either. And I'm like, what about Nigerians in culinary or race car
Yeah.
driving? Like, what about all these other overlooked things? And I didn't see it. But if you were to type in like Nigerians in medicine, there are resources. So I'm like, what
Aha.
does that look
Mm-hmm.
like for like the non-traditional like Nigerian or someone who's pursuing something that's overlooked? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, you know what? What if there was a space that embodied all of these things that catered to this overlooked like demographic, and
Mm-hmm.
within our community? And so I kept thinking about it for days and days, but I kept brushing it off. And then I remember I saw this quote one time. This was recently, but this sums up the whole story of Naija Comm. But like, if it's truly your calling, it'll keep calling you. Because
Ooh.
even yeah,
Ooh.
it's a
You like that one? You liked it. You liked
Slow down. Let
it.
it marinate. Give it one more time. Give it one more
I
if,
know.
time.
if it's truly your calling, it'll keep calling you. And
Wow.
that's one of the quotes I live by, because like sometimes we go through life and we're like, should I do this? Should I do that? And like you'll let that consume you and like be on your mind. But sometimes, just like I said, when it's meant for you, it'll be for you. No one could ever take that away
Yeah.
from you. So for me, Najicon was on my mind for days and days. And then finally, I had this epiphany. I was just like, who is going to create the thing? Like, how long will it be till someone creates it? And there's this other quote. I'm telling you, I'm full of quotes. There's this other
Hey,
quote.
drop them now. Drop them.
There's other quote that said, like, you are the one you're looking for. Like, sometimes we look to other people for like, oh, maybe are they going to create it, or maybe so and so should create it. But no, sometimes you're the person who should create it.
Yeah.
Like, you are
The
the
raw
one. And
you.
yes, it's you. And so I created Nigecom, and I did it step by step. There was no blueprint. It was like, okay, what should I call it? What should the color scheme be? What should it look like? And everything I did through my like creative endeavors kind of like helped to fuel it. Like, I created the logo in the beginning, and then created the color scheme, the branding, and like, okay, what's our mission? Like all these things that you do in your when you're creative. So that's why it came naturally, in a sense. It didn't feel like rocket science or like a
Mm-hmm.
mathematical equation.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All those other jobs needed to exist for you to be able to launch Niger
No,
Comm.
dead ass. Like,
Right?
that's literally what I was
Yeah.
saying to myself. Like, a lot of that your experience was prepping you for this, because if you
Yeah.
now you're gonna be operating at such a higher level because you have that experience.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing, and like I've learned through the process too. Like, I didn't know that there was Nigerians who are like race car drivers for a living, or like I remember I met this one guy who was like interviewed on Nigecom, like Obi Arisuku. He's a cartoonist. Like, that's what he does for a
Mm-hmm.
living. He makes cartoons, and
Okay.
like his art has been like going viral and everything. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know people could get paid for making cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So again, like, I learned through the whole process as well. It's been an eye-opening experience for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love
I
that.
love
So
Sorry. I love that, like, your motivation is representation, because I think in many ways that's also like how this podcast came to be as well. We were like,
Yes.
yo, we need to have people who look like us and sound like us and
Yep.
tell those stories, so that other people who are in similar shoes can like actually see what is possible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
mhm, mhm,
somebody now that is
mhm,
thinking of how they're going to be doing PR and can they get into those spaces? You can't,
Yes.
mhm, mhm,
because she's been there. McDonald's,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Pharrell Williams. I
mhm,
Yeah.
be
mhm.
Yeah, like all those things are possible for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing.
Miles, what are you going to say?
I was gonna say because like I feel like with African parents sometimes they can't see the vision.
Yes.
Like it sounds like your parents were pretty cool with it. They're like, okay, we don't know what
I don't know
you're
if
onto,
cool
but we
was
trust
the
you.
word.
But like they don't get cool with it until they see the come up,
Yes.
until the result,
Yeah.
until there's actually bear fruit. That's the only way they
Yes.
can now jump on. And once they jump on, yeah, they got your back. But until
Yes.
they see something tangible, you're just disturbing them.
Yeah.
So did you have that switch moment with your immigrant parents? Was there like a moment they're like, okay, now we finally get it and all
Yes,
that?
yeah, it's funny that we're talking about this, because like I'll tell two stories, but there's this one story where like there's this African parent, this dad, he discovered Najacom through the Afrotech article, and he showed his daughter, his younger daughter, like, look what she just made. And then his daughter DM'd us saying like, I can't believe there's a space like this, like this is something I
Mm,
can relate to. My dad just showed me, and I'm like, wow, like your dad showed you, like That's a
Yeah.
powerful thing. For my family, it's funny. I told them about NijaCom probably like a year, maybe a year after it was created, or a year and a half. But this is what made me tell them, because at first I'm just like, I'll just tell them later on. It's not a big deal. But then when we were featured in like Forbes 30 under 30, I'm like, oh, now I have to tell them because they're gonna find out somehow. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had a feeling. I'm like they're gonna and this is let me tell you how like that feeling was so accurate. Like I was just like, all right, they're gonna find out. And so I'm like, let me just tell them now because it's already out there. And so the day I told them, the next day uncles and aunties were just like, your daughter's on Forbes, I just saw on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, yeah, she told us about it. And then, mind you, I told them the day, like literally the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just, the timing was everything. I'm glad I told them before they found out, because then it would have been
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? What?
They'll be like, what?
So
It's
yeah.
not my daughter. What are you talking
They
about?
could be prepared. They could be prepared to boast.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The WhatsApp
Yeah.
And
chats.
how dare you
Yeah.
deny an African parent an opportunity to boast about their
Yes.
child?
Oh
How dare
yeah.
you?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
WhatsApp group chats were like on fire.
Oh,
Everyone was
tear up.
calling. It was hilarious. But yeah, they were proud because they understood that quicker than the public relations thing. The NijaCom thing, they understood it very
Ah,
Forbes is
quickly.
a name they know.
Yeah,
That's it.
yes,
I was to say, you're
Familiarity.
disturbing them. You're
It's
yeah,
disturbing them. Say Forbes.
familiarity.
We know that one.
yeah. So they knew everything, and then explaining NijaCom to them, they understood it immediately. So that's why they were like, okay, it all makes sense in a way. It's like, there was nothing that was surprising about my whole journey, because it's like, okay, like you already did it, like it makes sense. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's how it happened. It's a funny
How
story. So
how
yeah.
deep into your PR career were you before you made Naija Comm happen?
Oh, like full time with benefits, or kind of like even before, like in entirety.
Both.
Okay. So if I was to count like even the freelance public relations and everything and internships, I would say like when they found out about like NijaCom.
No, when you started Naija Comm.
Oh, when I started NijaCom. Oh, yeah, not too long. This was when I was just interning doing public relations, not even full time with benefits. So like I started NijaCom when I was in my senior year of undergrad. So I wasn't even like full time yet. And then they found out about NijaCom like the year after. So that was when I was working in PR like full time. So but that was like 2 months into doing it full time with benefits. So not it was really early.
Some get this straight. You had this company for like a year and you are Forbes 30 or that 30 in.
That's why I said it's a
Some people,
blessing.
some people, honestly,
God,
it's, no, 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 no,
God, I
no. Maybe,
see what has been
no,
happening for the
maybe
people.
maybe there's something I did in my past life. I don't
No, no, no,
know.
no, 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 no. Lord, I am thankful that you have brought her here because you have opened my
Look at that.
eyes
Look at
to
that.
the depth of your giving. And you know what? I'm actually very happy for you. No, I actually am. I'm
Thank
Love
deeply
it.
you.
happy
Love it.
for you.
Love it.
Yes.
It's
And
it's
also
been
in the same way, it
crazy.
shows me what's possible for me.
Yes.
Thank you so much, representation, for
Honestly,
giving it
it's
time.
Community.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy because like when I created NijaCom, I was 21. The Forbes thing
Mhm.
happened when I was 22, and it was very inspirational for me because when you're
What was that
doing
moment
things,
even like? Like, how did that even
yeah,
come up? Like, what's the
yes,
Yeah.
like
I'm sure it
like
must be
waking
very
up to Forbes,
validating.
like finding out about the Forbes thing.
yeah?
Yeah, so I found out through Instagram DM before I found out like I woke up in the morning and I was receiving like text messages saying like, "Oh, you're on the Forbes 30 and the 30 list." I was like, "What?" And so I go
Hmm.
on there, I like check my email first. I'm like, "Oh, like the person who the co-creator of the list like sent an email and everything." I'm like, "Oh, this is real." And I saw it and people were like tagging me and everything and I'm like, "Oh, wow." And then my job found out as well. So it was very, yeah, a lot of things changed during that time, and it was like the new beginning of like my
Yeah.
career in a sense, because it poured into everything that I'd done. But it was something I honestly I didn't, when I created NijaCom, I didn't think that would ever happen. That wasn't the
Mm.
plan. And I didn't, there's a lot of things we've done where I didn't think we would ever do, because when I created NijaCom, it was just a passion project. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking like, oh, let me make this into a business, or let me like work with some of my favorite brands. Like it's all been a blessing, and honestly, it was up to God, because it's just like, wow, like the
Hmm.
blessings on blessings is insane. But yeah,
We love it.
thank
We love
you.
it. Did work feel away when they found out or no?
See, that was crazy, because I didn't tell them about NijaCom when I like for a while. like
Mm.
because you know how jobs get weird, so I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want anything to be weird, but they found out through online, because again, like the internet is
The
so, it
internet,
seems
yeah.
big, but it's so small. It's a small world. So they found out through LinkedIn, through Instagram, and they were really supportive. So that was surprising. They sent an all agency email to like the whole
Ooh.
office. Yeah, well, both offices. I was a part of like two different offices in a sense, and so they sent that email. And everyone was congratulating me, and I was just like, wow, like that's truly such a huge moment, because a lot of people have jobs that would have been like, no,
Yeah.
cut it,
Mhm.
cut it
Yeah.
out.
What did you do?
But
What
yeah, but
did
they were
you
super supportive, so it was
That's really
great.
good.
do?
Are you still there?
Love.
No, I'm not there, but
Oh.
it's not because of that. It's not because of
Yeah.
that.
I want to better things. I want to better things.
No, but like yeah, on to different things. I was there for like 2 years and 3 months, so I really kind of,
You spent your time, yeah.
yeah, I spent my time, and then I started grad school during that time, so it was time for me to go, so I just left. So yeah, I left last year. So yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. I'm excited to talk about the kind of work that Niger Com is doing right now.
Yes.
Hmm.
I think we have this Project Calm scholarship.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's
You want to
correct.
tell
That
us more
is,
about that?
yeah. So super excited about that, because when I was creating Naija Comm, like giving back is something that's in my nature. Well, you guys can understand, like, coming from like a community, especially a whole like African diaspora, like it takes a village for anything. Like
Hmm.
community is really important. Just the way we support each other, it just is a natural thing. So for me, I wanted NigerCom to have that sort of like give back, whether it is providing a scholarship, whether it's donating to organizations, whether it is creating like networking sessions, like all of those things I wanted NigerCom to have. So me and Joanne is a content strategist on the NigerCom team, and she's also the founder of Project 1125, which is a community service like organization. They give back as well. So we were talking about doing like a scholarship and doing like this collaboration, and so we wanted to like pick like an African student pursuing like a non-traditional path or an endeavor, and give them a scholarship to fund their education or to fund their creative endeavor. And we wanted it to be something that was just all about passion. We don't want it to be like, oh, record this like three minute video just talking to us, or like, write this like 2 page essay. Like, no, send us
Hmm.
like something you're working on that you're really passionate about. Tell us
Yeah.
about who you are, like your background, like all those things. And so we awarded it to, and this was open to the African diaspora, even outside the Nigerian community. And it was international, not just like based in the US, or even, or any part of like America, just everywhere. And
Anyone.
so our recipient is Nebiu, who's very brilliant, 19 years old, Ethiopian Canadian. He wants to work in politics. He has nonprofits, like he just everything that you would want a recipient to be. He is that, like, brilliant. Like, I was like, when I was
Hmm.
19 years old, I was not that brilliant as him. So he is amazing. So yeah, he was our first ever winner. And so it's just the beginning. Like, we have so much more in store, and so I'm super excited
Hmm.
to see where it goes.
Hmm. So, like, what can
Wow.
we expect next from
Yeah.
NigerCom?
Oh, more collaborations. Like, we're big on partnerships. So whether it's like donations or scholarships, or whether it's just on an event, we're really open to that. We're gonna have our first international event like later this year, whether it's in London, or like somewhere else in the African diaspora. So we'll see about that. So that's in the work. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, and then also just finding more clients that align with our mission. Like, we love
Hmm.
creating content for brands, and like extending their social impact initiatives. Like, we like to
Hmm.
work with people that are like-minded. So like finding more people like that is everything for us. So that's what's coming up.
I think Inu and I are
Love.
going to have to talk a very deep, lengthy conversation after this.
Yes,
I need
yes,
Lati connects. Um,
absolutely.
I have a question for Malik. Okay.
Shoot.
Ooh.
So you have chosen a traditional career path.
Yes.
How much of that is actually what you desired for yourself as compared to like what, like, if you had other options, do you think you would have gone to other options, or was that just what you chose because it's what you knew?
Oh, that's a great question.
And
Yes,
I don't
yes.
want to
So I
set you
would
up because I
say
know you are a working man. So don't go and quit your job now based on this conversation. I just want to, I'm
no, don't
curious.
worry. I don't think I will. I
Okay.
don't think I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the traditional path always appealed to me. Like I don't think I ever had a calling from a non-traditional. Like I mean, the farthest thing out would have been, oh, I want to be a footballer. You know, me and other guys like, I want to be a footballer.
Yeah.
But even at that, like in college, I played soccer, and even the small amount that I did there, I knew that I don't know that I would have absolutely loved playing football full
Professional,
time
yeah.
for, yeah. It's a lot of commitment,
Hmm.
practice is, you have to wake up, you have to go, you have road games.
Okay.
But yeah, the traditional route always appealed to me. Like I didn't really have any moment where I was like, oh, Malik, is this really what you want to do?
You sure say?
Then society is very accommodate. Like what? Why
I'm
you sound
sorry.
like you doubt?
No, because there was a particular time on a Star Life show that we were doing a thing. We were
Yeah,
doing a
yeah.
thing. And so I guess from that I presume that like this was a thing you are interested in, and then also because of how easy it was to get. Well, was it easy to get you to do this? Because we talked back and forth a little bit, but like how how like receptive you were, I guess.
Okay, so I'll say getting me to do this was easy because you helped out on that other project.
Okay.
Because I remember like me working on that, I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not sure. And you're like, no, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I can help you do this, do that, do that.
Whoa,
Okay,
whoa,
okay,
whoa, whoa,
okay. And I
whoa.
was
Is this
like,
Abinsola's voice? Is this you trying to be
yes,
me?
yes, 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 yes. And I was like, okay, then for you to now turn around and say, this is what I want to do, it would have
Hmm.
been criminal of me to not,
So this
support,
quid pro quo.
this is love. That's what this
Okay,
is.
okay, 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 okay,
It's
okay,
love.
okay.
That's all that it
As in you
is.
support me, I support
Aw,
you. All right, I'll allow it. All right, thank you,
Come on.
I love that.
brother.
Wait, but I had a question for
Obviously.
both of y'all though. So like
Yeah,
what would you
You,
say is like the pros and cons of what you do, whether you are creative or you're pursuing the
I
corporate
was actually
America
going to ask you
traditional
that.
route?
So this is actually
you
really
know
good.
what? Let's go back and forth. I'll name one pro, you go one pro,
Yeah.
and we'll keep going until we don't have anything.
Okay.
So obviously structure.
Um, I enjoy what I do.
Guaranteed pay.
That is a very good one. That is a very good one because as I am now. So I freelance.
Yeah.
Let me see. What else do I enjoy? Oh, flexibility.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a good
flexibility.
one.
Oh, that's good.
And do you
Um,
have any?
Oh, I mean, you guys like really, you guys really nailed it. I would say the pros. Ooh, I think one pro for me, like you know how people say like, oh, when you're pursuing like either like freelance entrepreneurship, like you don't have a boss, but it's just like you're who you're serving is kind of your boss in a way, whether it's your customer or
Mm-hmm.
your partner. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it's like that's not why like I got into it. Like I think a pro for me is like I get to be selective of who I get to work with. And
Yeah.
wow, who I get to work with. That's a
No, that's a
pro
good
for
one.
me. Yeah, and then
That's a
also
good
like
one.
for me, like I'm not there's some people who are anti-corporate. I'm not anti-corporate surprisingly, but like I feel like I if I'm gonna work in corporate 9 to 5 traditional, like I have to work with someone who's a great leader. But here's the problem: there's not a lot of great leaders,
Oh
and I
yeah.
I, I learned that in corporate. There's great leaders and there's not so great leaders. So that's my con with corporate. And I think it's pro for everything else because you get to be again selective with who you get to work with and all the people, whether it's like partners or selecting your clients or whatever. I would say a con is like a con is like you never know how like next week will be or next month will be because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can be unpredictable, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I will say, because some people will say like, oh, it's like stability, but here's the thing: whether you're working in corporate or freelance, like stability isn't. It's all in your head because like for
Yeah.
corporate, you could get laid off today, but freelance, your business can
Mm-hmm.
go down easily
Mm-hmm.
today. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's like it's you pick your battles, what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying, but I would argue
Mhm.
that there is more stability. Yeah, I mean like stability is relative, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there is still more
Yeah,
stability
I see it
with
because it's like
corporate.
I get it. Like you know what you're getting paid next month, and then you got the
Mm-hmm.
401ks and everything. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I still have a 401k, so I'm not anti corporate at all. So
Okay, that part, yes. And also, I actually want to say, technically, so I came out of my last job was in journalism, like in the like news
Yeah.
space, the amount of layoffs that have been happening in the last year. So like even that stability that you think you have at like a full-time job with benefits, guys are getting laid off in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
No 2 weeks notice. You're out. You understand what I'm saying?
Just a soft calendar
Yes,
invite.
exactly. And I feel more secure and stable out here where I have a contract with someone that says you are required to pay me until this date. If you break your contract, bakam is on your head. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can take it to
Yes,
court.
so I actually feel more stable out here than at a company where like
Oh.
I don't even know what could happen. Like at my last job, like bro, there were layoffs happening while I was there. The only reason I didn't
Oh
like I'm sure
wow.
I didn't get called is because I was hired under a contract and my contract
Hmm.
was set to run until a certain amount of time, which was after all the layoffs were happening. But like so it can really go either way.
It's
I
interesting
do.
you bring that up because even when I was leaving corporate, like they were also having layoffs during that time, and then even after I left, they continue till this day they have layoffs, and it was even
Mm-hmm.
like put in the news, like in
Yeah.
like it was documented how much layoffs they had. So I was just like, wow, like it's like again you choose your battles in a way because whether you're working in corporate or freelance, anything can happen on both sides. So you got to pick what
Mm-hmm.
works best for you, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
I will say one
Uh,
more pro for, I guess, creative things or like chasing a passion project, and I don't even think it has to be necessarily creative, is I feel fulfilled by what I do.
Oh wow, that's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm executing my purpose.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you can't put a price. You can't put a price
Oh,
on
more
that.
Yeah,
is so
very
nice.
true.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
You
true.
can't.
Yeah.
That's quite literally a reason to live. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Because
that.
I will say with corporate, sometimes you're just going through the motions. You
Yeah.
do this, you have to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, fair, fair. That's a great one. I
Thank
mean,
you so
that's a
much.
great one. That's worth everything right there.
Yeah.
How about you? Any closing advice you'd give to someone wanting to embrace their creative aspirations?
Oh, well, I'll give the advice to anybody in general. It could be creative or non-creative. I feel like at the end of the day, like you have so much value in any space that you're in. I remember like when I was working in corporate, I remember and when I started off working in corporate, there were so many moments where I'm just like, wow, I'm new here. I'm working with people who have been here for like decades, people who are like old enough to be my parents. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you're working with people like that, sometimes people can either make you feel small or you might just be like, oh, what value do I have to provide to these set of people? But you'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised, like, you bring so much value to every room that you're in. There are things that you have that other people don't have. Like, I remember I
Mm-hmm.
said this in my goodbye email in corporate. I was telling people, I was like, to the young and or diverse people, like, people need you in a space like this. Like, their clients and these companies can't cater to your demographic like you have so much
Mm-hmm.
value that money can't buy. It's priceless. Like, there
Mm-hmm.
are people who read magazines, articles, they research all day to understand, like, oh, how do I cater to the Black community, or like what do this group like and what do they like,
Mm-hmm.
and like at the end of the day, like they'll still be wrong and they'll still
Yeah.
fail, right? So it's like there's so much
Your
value in
lived
your experience.
experience.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
lived experience, your perspective is so much. There's so much value. So whatever you're pursuing, make sure you bring that to the table because it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wow, that's a really good one. That's a good one.
Wait,
Malik, do
what
you have
about
any
y'all?
advice? Yeah.
What about y'all?
Hmm. What advice do I have for the people? I think okay, this is a good one. For the faith minded, trust the process. Trust the nasty, scary ass process. Like you said, like if it's in your head, you have that vision for a reason. You've been
Yes.
given that for a reason, whatever it is. And I heard this thing of like God will never show you the path. He will only show you like the destination.
Mm.
So like that entire path like is going to be so confusing, but like you have to trust the process and trust that like it's going to get you to that goal. Even when you don't know where your next money is coming from, because some of us we do have those moments. But guess what? They still renew the contracts at the end of the day. The money comes in
Yeah.
somehow last minute, and it's always last minute. Always last minute. But like you just have to trust the process. Like if you have that vision, there's a reason. And in a way, it really is kind of all or nothing. Like you have to like actually take that leap of faith. Take risk and succeed. Ah,
Yes.
how that
Yeah.
grandma was saying, take risk and succeed. Yeah.
I will say, like, do something that fulfills you. Kind of what everyone's saying, like something you're passionate about. Because thinking about it, to work 40-hour weeks for something that, like, to give 40 hours of your day to something that doesn't really fulfill you or you don't care that much about is not an opportune way to actually live a life. You know, you drive to work, you spend hours there, you build a whole community around what you do, and to not care about it or for it to not at least pour into you is that's not living.
Yeah.
That's not living. And that's live life. Be slightly enthusiastic about whatever it is that you want to commit to.
Wow, that's good advice. Y'all had great advice. I will receive this. It's good.
Off the record, Malik is planning how he's going to
Don't say
off
that.
the record. Oh, don't worry, I'll edit it out. I'll edit it out. Relax, relax, relax. I
He's
saw the panic
stressed.
in your eyes, though.
He's
Yeah.
stressed.
It be your own people. It be your own people. Ah,
Don't
just
worry,
put it
I'll
on the
beep it.
internet.
No, I'll beep it. All right. All right, guys. Thank
Golly.
you so much for what I think was
On
an
that
absolute.
note, we're done. We're done. Let's get the hell out of here.
Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful episode. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I think that you have definitely inspired some people today. If not them, you've definitely inspired me 10,000%.
Oh, thank
Same
y'all
here.
Yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Same here.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Where,
everyone has to subscribe to Japa Diaries today.
as in, if
Please.
you are listening now, you have not
Today.
subscribed. Are you sick?
Uh,
Commit.
They're sick. Not tomorrow, today. Subscribe today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And for the service minded people like ourselves, do not forget we are collecting donations for
Yes.
We're
we're
matching
matching donations
donations.
actually for Sudan and DRC. We must hit that
Come on.
1,000 guys. Okay, we've already come
Come on.
long. I was going to say far way. We've already come a long way. So let's commit and let's finish up. What else?
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet? Where can people
Yeah.
find Naija Comm?
Yes. Yeah. So we're pretty easy to find. So for Naija Comm, we are on Instagram, X, LinkedIn. We're growing our YouTube. So you can type in NAIJACOMM. For me, my Instagram is ENO XO. And yeah, stay tuned. We have a lot coming up.
And don't forget to also, like she said, subscribe, follow Japa Diaries on Instagram, TikTok at Japa.diaries. Until next week, sweeties, have a great one. Bye.
Bye, guys.